You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 219, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com and 5cardguys on Instagram. Co-hosting with me as usual is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess, both on IG as well. All right, we do have another special guest interview for this podcast episode. We'll play in just a bit, but we were lucky to have her on as she's been extremely busy in the hobby with the breaks that she runs and the hobby content she delivers consistently. Her name is Stephanie Garcia. Most of you know her as Mamabreaks, and I think you'll really enjoy the insight she brings through her own experience in the hobby. But off the top, let's talk about this new partnership between Fanatics and Sotheby's. We're practicing how to announce this before the pod, which is a traditional auction house. And in a press release, they said that this collaboration will provide collectors and enthusiasts access to purchase the rarest and most covetable trading cards across all sports on the market, valued at $100,000 and above. So very high-end auctions that they're dealing with. And if that wasn't enough, Fanatics, they also announced its new collectibles marketplace launching later this summer called Fanatics Collect, which will connect buyers and sellers of trading cards and memorabilia through fixed price listings and auctions. And I believe I saw on Sports Card Investors page that this will essentially replace the PWCC marketplace, which, if you forgot, Fanatics had bought earlier. So they're rebranding, it seems, the PWCC marketplace to Fanatics Collects. So yeah, what do you guys think of this latest development involving, once again, Fanatics at the forefront?
You know my take on it. Everything is calculated, and this seems like another move. It's kind of like this. If I associate one thing with another thing, what do people conclude? So if, for instance, the question is, are sports cards an asset class? Right? What's the smart thing to do? You associate that with proven, credible people within a generic asset class, right? So to me, it's that association that Fanatics is playing, especially on that high-end marketplace, right? Because one, you're bringing other big-time investors in other fields, and it's now in front of those guys. And you know, when you start seeing it as a valuable asset, now the 52 man will make sense. Now all these other cards start becoming more desirable, and that's the name of the game. Is you start getting playing the supply demand game with the right crowd too. Mm-hmm. You're at a whole different level. And to me, the way I see it is these moves make me so bullish. It makes me want to really start being more pickier with my moves and intentional, sure, and more long-term, because the short-term game, even if you pull a massive card, that massive card could be worth a lot more than you think it will be, just based on the way the hobby is going. So for me, these moves make sense a lot from a business standpoint. And yeah, Fanatics is again playing chess on a daily basis. This is not like when this is the difference. And I've noticed this in my personal life. It's like when you make moves, you got to make moves really quick. You got to be able to decide what's good really quick. And Fanatics is doing that on a daily basis. They're not making moves on a monthly or yearly basis. They're making moves on a daily basis. And this is how you, again, 10x whatever they say they're going to 10x. They're doing it in ways that we didn't even know these guys were in play, right? Sotheby's.
Right.
But now it's like they're in play. right? So it's gigantic from a business standpoint, right? So yeah, that's kind of like my 2 cents. And going to the PWCC, yeah, that's, you know what, start from fresh, rebrand it,
Yeah.
and that way you don't have the same branding that PWCC left their customers at the end of the day, right? So
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, from a business standpoint, if Fanatics wants to get a piece of the pie of high-end auctions and also attack some of their competitors, I mean, this is a perfect way, a perfect marriage to accomplish that, right? And also, you can kind of see the way Fanatics is targeting clients, right? Getting more eyes, proper eyes on certain products. There's definitely now looking to separate high end from low end, right? Whereas before, I think a lot of auction houses not necessarily had the strategy to separate. It was just, let's get in the eyes of all sports car collectors. But this is a new strategy in not only bringing in sports car collectors, but I think they're recognizing high end sports cards is not really sports cards anymore. You can almost classify it more towards high-end collectibles, not sports cards. Like the three of us here are not looking at $1 million auctions, but other people buying $5 million cars, $1 million Rolex watches, artwork, they would be interested in something like this. So it would make sense to bring the eyes of high-end auctioneers into this space. So I think it makes sense. I think Fanatics, if you think of it again, like with Hyung's hat on, like from a business standpoint, we don't necessarily maybe not have the brains to think of it beforehand, but when you see this kind of unfold, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. It makes sense. Yeah, I see why. And then the second part of it, you were mentioning like the Fanatics collect. From a sports, from a collector standpoint, I'm all on board because like I think all of us were kind of dying for something more than just eBay, like other ways to find our holy grails, et cetera, et cetera. And PWCC was a great way to find it, but I just felt like their whole system was so old and cumbersome. And especially if you're used to eBay and the eBay app and you try to move to PWCC, no offense, but anytime I would just give up. Like, I'd be like, I'm so tired of searching. I'm so tired of saving. I'm just going to focus on eBay. And the next thing you know, 2 months later, you find out your Holy Grail card like passed on PWCC for super cheap. And you're like, So I think from a collector standpoint, from the sports card world for lower end, this is great. We're hoping Fanatics takes this over, creates a really amazing app that competes with eBay, super easy, user friendly, all of the above.
Yeah.
So yeah. I like it.
Yeah, great points from both of you. The only thing I'll add to the Sotheby's and Fanatics partnership, and I think you touched upon this, Hyung, it gives a huge amount of credibility to high-end sports cards in general and the market of high-end sports cards. Because, we were just talking about Sotheby's. They were established in 1744, I believe.
Crazy.
So they already have they have huge brand recognition in that field.
Yeah.
In collectibles, fine art, and essentially you equate that with now high-end sports cards. And I think the card that they're promoting this partnership with is the PSA 8 Jackie Robinson Leaf rookie card. It's got a lot of historical impact, iconic card, of course, for hobbyists as well. So I think that's the perfect card to really launch this partnership. Makes total sense to me as well, the business decision there. And for PWCC, I can't agree more with what John was mentioning. Just I cannot even use the mobile version of that site. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I only use it on my laptop or my desktop, and that's the only way I can navigate around it. But I'm hoping that Fanatics Collect, when it launches later this summer, as they announced, that it'll be just a brand new interface, easy to use. And, I'm a big believer of real competition being beneficial for those for buyers like us, because it'll hopefully lead to a better experience, not just on Fanatics Collect, but on eBay as well, right? It's going to be where they're going to really compete with one another now. So yeah, I love hearing announcements and to your point, Hyung, about Fanatics almost making these daily kind of chess moves. The fact that we're talking about it every other episode of our podcast these days,
something different every day,
backs that up, what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. So we haven't even started the summer yet, really. and there's a lot going on in the hobby. That's why I'll end off with this before we throw to our interview. Fanatics Fest coming up in August. That's why I'm looking forward to it. They're gonna, it being the inaugural event, Fanatics pulling out all the stops, and actually this is a good segue. Stephanie Garcia, she mentioned Fanatics Live, I think, will be celebrating their first year anniversary during FanFest. So you feel like they're going to do something big to really commemorate that as well. So I feel like there's a lot of expectation for this event coming up. So Fanatics doing a lot of things in the hobby. All right, yeah, never a dull moment in the hobby. Let's play our interview now with Stephanie, aka Mamabreaks. And right afterwards, actually stick around because we'll finish with our pick one as we normally do. Enjoy the interview. Okay, we have another special guest on the show today. She's probably one of the busiest, if not the busiest content creator I know in the hobby. She's a popular breaker, card collector, podcaster as well. The list goes on. So I'm grateful she made the time for this podcast, and I'm excited to talk with her about the hobby. So without further ado, Stephanie Garcia, aka Mamabreaks, welcome to the pod.
Clark, thank you so much for having me on. This never gets old. Getting asked to be on a podcast always feels like I'm a celebrity, honestly, which I'm not, but we're all busy and I'm definitely super new at podcasting. So always grateful to come on and even just learn from everyone too. So thank you for having me.
No, great to have you on. And, in my books, you're a celebrity in the hobby. So this is a privilege. And speaking of which, I normally ask my guests what their hobby origin story is, but because you are so prolific and consistent when it comes to putting out content, I feel like anyone that follows you on social media, we already know parts of your hobby journey. So what I wanted to do instead is kind of do a quick fact check, if you could do that for me, about your journey to start this interview.
Absolutely.
All right? Okay, so first I learned that you started off as a Pokemon collector.
Mm-hmm.
And how long ago was that? Was that in grade school or?
That was definitely in grade school. Yeah, I was obsessed with the show. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old when I started doing that. And that was a big part of my childhood.
All right. You're not the only one. We've interviewed other people, and Pokemon cards almost was like a gateway for sports cards later on in life. And I think this part is similar to myself, where you fell in love with the game of baseball like I did, and then started collecting baseball cards soon thereafter. I'm assuming you're a Dodgers fan because you're based in LA?
Born and raised in LA as a Dodger fan, yep.
Nice. Any rookies that you remember chasing back then?
You know what? So I was maybe in high school when I started really like playing softball more competitively and getting into baseball like in the more competitive side. So when I started opening cards, I was chasing just Dodgers. So my favorite Dodgers, Matt Kemp, Clayton Kershaw at the time was a rookie, but I really had no idea I was chasing his rookie card. Right. Like the designations on the cards weren't that like apparent as they are now. And nor did I even know anyone who collected baseball cards. So I didn't really have like anybody to tell me, hey, the rookies are good. But it was just lucky I was opening like what was it, 2008 update a ton from Target. Yeah. That's one of my favorite designs for that reason. But yeah, it was nice, fun stuff.
Yeah, good timing too. Kershaw's not a bad guy to collect as a rookie.
I mean, good timing for Pokemon too, but we didn't keep any of them, unfortunately.
That's right. Oh, yeah. That's heard that before for sure.
Great timing.
Yeah. Also, the last thing I want to do a quick fact check on your Instagram bio. You went from being a teacher to being in the hobby full time. So I'm wondering, how was that transition? And when did you decide that what you're doing now is what you wanted to do more on a regular basis?
That's a great question. So I definitely have had my fair share of different careers in my short life so far. I'm only 32. And I think letting go of my first career to pursue teaching was one of my biggest leaps that I made. So I tell
Sure.
people that kind of prepped me for what it
Mm,
was when I went into teaching. I started doing breaks part time, essentially on the weekends,
right.
while I was teaching from home, and even when we went back in person. So it just started becoming a little daunting. It started off as
Mm,
like something I do on the weekends, started getting a little more successful. The content started picking up. I started getting deals to go up, travel to do content. So the success was a little overwhelming because I had so much to do. I have two kids as well. I have a family. We have a home, and it just became a matter of my husband just really essentially just pushing me towards this, because he's
yeah.
like, hey, he saw how much I loved it, and there came a point where we decided I have to choose one or the other because
Mm,
something's got to give, and I figured I can always go back to teaching. And this is something that I want to pursue full time and really, really put everything I have into it, into building a
yeah.
business for us, and the way kind of I want to do breaking the way I kind of want a hobby. And so far, it's been a great journey. I'm, I want to say this week is like my 2 year anniversary of quitting teaching. So I've been out of teaching for two
Mm,
years now.
wow.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, quite an achievement.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. Yeah, no, I love hearing that. And I can definitely echo what you're saying about having support from the spouse. My wife also the same thing. It's so key to, my success here doing content full time. So yeah, love hearing that.
100%, believe me, this was not my idea. If my husband didn't have the idea and kind of supported me and egged me on, and he's very much my biggest fan, I don't think I would have done it, honestly.
Mm, yeah, great to hear.
Mm.
All right, well, you know what? I feel many of us know you as Mama Breaks, right? That's how you got started in the hobby. And I want to ask you, what made you want to get into the breaking side of the business? There's so many different ways to get into the hobby, but yeah, why breaking? What was that process like? And I'm wondering, I asked, we've had a few other breakers on the show, and I always ask the same thing. Was it overwhelming at all, like to get things started? Because I feel like for breaking, there's a lot of moving parts, to get started.
Absolutely. So the main reason why I wanted to do breaking was because that was the first thing that I encountered in the hobby that I
Mm,
absolutely loved. I,
okay.
you know, I started learning about cards on eBay and stuff, and doing my research and kind of buying on eBay. And then it wasn't until I started looking for sports card content on
Hmm.
TikTok and Instagram, right? And I started coming across these people on Instagram that were essentially live all night long, just
Right.
ripping product for people. And people, not only were they ripping product for people, buying them like the rip and ships, they had a
Yeah.
room of people enjoying those rips together.
Yeah.
So I very quickly became a regular in one of those rooms, and I just loved it. I loved being part of the community. I loved
Mm,
I love ripping and
yeah.
the person who was the facilitator of the room of the community. I just saw how like this guy shows up 3 times a week no matter what. I think he
Yeah.
was doing like Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and no matter what, I'm there Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, because not only is he going to be there, but P Barry, shout out to P Barry if he ever sees this, and everyone else in that room that remembers me, and I remember. um I fell in love with it. So I felt like, hey, I was a teacher. I can facilitate a room. I
Yeah.
can
Sure.
make sure everybody feels welcome and
Yeah.
excited, and I can show up every week and do this for people. It's a lot more than just cards for me. I really enjoy the people that come and hang out with me in the
Mm,
streams, and the great cards that we pull are just really great memories. I
yeah.
personally, I love cards, and every single one of those big hits, or even the smaller hits that maybe were like a big PC card for someone, they're
Yeah.
just really great memories.
Yeah. It's exciting when you see
Hmm.
the emotions on some of these, people getting these hits. It's
Yeah.
always great to
My
see.
favorite is when they'll send me like videos of their reactions.
Oh,
They'll be
nice.
like, "Oh my god." Oh, or they send me one of
Yeah.
my favorites was we were doing WWE, and his someone in our room, his kids loved it. So he's like, "Hey
Mm,
Steph, if I'm gonna buy a box and my kids are watching," he's like, "and I'm recording them." And we pulled like a big Cody Rhodes, and they were getting crazy. And you see that stuff
nice.
like that, I'll always remember, and it's why I want to keep doing it more and more.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. It's funny. before I drop off my son at school, we opened a quick pack of Pokemon cards and we hit a nice gold Mew. So he went off to school happy. So yeah, just the reaction of kids and seeing that expression on his face. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I love ripping with my kids too.
So much fun. Well, speaking of breaking, I know you're on the Fanatics Live platform, and I was just watching one of your videos on their Instagram page, and you introduced the idea there of doing bilingual breaks in the future, which I think is an amazing idea, especially because I read somewhere the most growth in the hobby right now, at least, is due to international growth,
Absolutely.
like collectors from around the world getting into the hobby. So what made you initially think of potentially offering breaks in a language other than English?
Well, I just feel like a big thing of about what I've done so far is trying to get new people in to the hobby as much as possible, right? So it's no, I mean, you can see here, I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, but I'm Mexican American. My parents were born in Mexico and El Salvador, and we
Yep.
speak Spanish. Spanish was my first language, and trying to get my family into this card stuff is kind of hard sometimes,
Yep.
There is that like cultural barrier there.
Sure.
Collecting things is not very much something that I experienced growing up. It's very much a luxury, and we have a rich history of collecting like luchador cards in Mexico, but I feel
Wow.
like that's a way like not even in the vicinity of where my family grew up in Mexico and all that. But there's a lot of rich history. I'm trying to like connect to my family more when it comes to this stuff, but I think language is definitely one of the barriers there. So
Right.
being able to provide that kind of explain what cards are in a way that they can understand in Spanish is something that I've been trying to do for the past few years. I think being able to do breaks that way would be, like you said, definitely a really great way to break a barrier and open up a whole new entry point for a whole new group of people.
Agree.
So the only thing is, I just need to get over yes, Spanish was my first language. I do not have any formal training in Spanish. I think that's something that kind of keeps me a little reserved from it.
Right.
But there's no way. There's no reason why I can't just start now. And after visiting Spain a couple of weeks
Right.
ago and
Yeah.
feeling so at home in there and recognizing that, hey, everybody speaks Spanish in Spain, and feeling so comfortable, and finally speaking to people about cards in Spanish
Yep.
was very, very moving for me. And also realizing that they don't really have card shops over there, and cards aren't really a thing, despite how huge the game of football is, soccer.
Sure. Yeah.
They're more inclined to think, oh, collectibles with soccer is panini stickers. So it's definitely something that Topps is really working on to grow over there, and I hope I'm trying to be a big part of that. So speaking Spanish helps.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I hope to see that soon. And yeah, no, it's I love seeing, even on my Instagram accounts, Hobby Korea and Beijing cards, like everywhere
Yes,
around the
yes.
world. That's so cool to see that people are getting into the hobby that way. Yeah. Speaking of Fanatics, it's definitely making a real impact in the hobby and especially in this growing industry. And we've already seen the ups and downs. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about where we're heading in this industry, generally speaking? And is there anything you would like to see more of in our hobby?
Absolutely. So generally speaking, I would definitely have to allude to the Topps conference this year. We had a fireside chat with Michael Rubin, Mike Mahan, and
Nice.
Avery, so that he led. So that was a really eye-opening experience there. It kind of was setting the tone for everything that they have been doing so far, which is, innovating with product. The MLB debut patches were incredible,
Love it. Yeah.
right? Having these like retrofractors or experiences tied to cards, like everyone who pulled the Wemby redemption got to meet Wemby. Like
Amazing.
these are just unprecedented ideas, and they've only really acquired Topps for maybe 3 years. First year, really nothing. They did that in their second year. We're now going into our third official year,
Right.
and it just feels like they're ready to run. because they're gonna
Yeah.
bring in hobby rip night. We're gonna bring in hobby break nights. They're gonna
Hmm.
bring a lot more athletes in this to see like Tom Brady opening cards, to see rookies like Josh Young and Corbin Carroll opening
Yeah.
cards.
So cool.
Like they're really just making cards cool, and that's really, really what we need. Talk
Yeah.
about like language barriers. So what about the barriers to people that think that cards are still like a nerdy thing to do?
Right.
You know,
Right.
like they're making cards cool. We have Kevin Hart autographs, we have Meek Mill autographs, we have Tom Brady signing in a baseball product. Like
Yeah.
all this stuff just makes it super exciting. And I'm so happy that it's just focused on connecting with the players, connecting with people who, you know, we admire, who we decide to collect because,
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
you know, like I remember
Love
growing
it.
up, I love Gwen Stefani. My
Okay.
room was covered with posters of Gwen Stefani. If there
Yeah.
was a trading card set where I could pull a Gwen Stefani autograph card when I was
Yeah.
12 years old, I would
Yeah.
have
You went for it.
blown away by it. So like, you know, that's
Yeah.
like that's another step right there. We're gonna have a lot of great non-sport cards this year. Dune Chrome is coming
Hmm.
out. Stranger Things Chrome's coming back to the tops under the tops umbrella. So
Love that show. Yeah.
I'm excited. That's generally speaking, I'm excited.
Yeah. No, you and me both. And I assume you're gonna go to Fanatics Fest in New York
I will
City.
be there. Yep.
Okay. Hopefully we can catch up there because that'll be my first show outside of Canada.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's one of those experiences it just we can't miss.
I agree. I really think that the first one's going to be, they're going to put it all out there. It's
Yeah.
also going to be, I believe, the 1 year anniversary of Fanatics Live around that time.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I don't imagine they will not go big for that. So,
They'll do something special for
yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm already counting down the days till mid-August for that show. Just going back to what you do on the content creation side of things, and I've talked to other content creators as well, and we kind of all agree that consistency is probably the key to growing an audience. And the same thing with breaking. You're kind of mentioning how you could depend on that one breaker to come on these days to build that audience, to build that community,
Absolutely.
so I'm wondering, how do you, I guess, stay consistent, and on top of things, you're already doing, like that's always the big challenge, right?
Oof, that's a great question. And I learned it the hard way this time last year. So I actually realized that so last June 2023, I
Hmm.
came to a point where my business was growing a lot and I
Yeah.
had a decision to make. Obviously, I'm only one person, right? At the time, I did have Derek, who's now my office manager, helping me sort, but
Hmm.
even that was not enough. And I came to a point of realization that I have to post every day if I want to grow. And
Right.
I gave myself a challenge. So I still did my business as I did. You know, I had to do my breaks every week. That's just what I had to do. But
Yeah.
on top of that, I challenged myself to post every day for a month. I did it. The month of June 2023, I posted every single day. And I
Okay.
realized that this is not sustainable. I
Right.
cannot run my business the way
Yeah,
I
it's
want it
hard.
to be, at the capacity, at the level that I want it to be, and
Hmm.
post every day. So immediately, what I knew had to happen was I had to hire someone to help me break, and I had to hire someone to help me with content creation. So I've been extremely blessed to find a really great team. I now have my trio, my three musketeers, my everything. They essentially really take care of those three pillars of my business right now.
Nice.
I'm kind of like do it all, but they do so much for me. So I think having a really great team of people when you get there helps so much. So Eddie, he is a videographer and editor. He worked with me the first 6 months, just kind of shipping and learning and everything that we do
Hmm.
here.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this year, we decided to start YouTube. So we've been really on it. He works all week long with me. Mondays we plan. We'll plan reels to post every day on different platforms, and we'll plan YouTube videos to post every week. So, like,
Nice.
essentially, today is a day I won't break. We're going to head out to Burbank Sports Cards to make 2 or 3 videos and a few
Yeah.
reels there. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. No, thanks for that tip. I'm kind of in that cusp as well, where it's becoming a little overwhelming just to do it by yourself. So it's always good to have a team like you say, and it seems to be more fun as well to do things together as a team that you. Yeah.
Absolutely. I understand, especially, like I'm very, again, blessed. I have that revenue that comes from breaking that I can
Yeah.
essentially use to invest in content. But
Sure.
uh, I I would challenge everyone to maybe focus on the stuff that they really love doing. You feel that your strengths
Good
are,
tip.
and
Yes.
really take a look at the things that you think you're not that great at that you can use some help in. And it could be something as easy as paying someone to do your thumbnails.
Right. Sure. That
That's a
simple.
I think
Yeah.
just dipping that toe in there will help you feel how immensely helpful that is, and you'll just grow and grow from that, and that'll help you become more consistent, and then you'll see more growth, and that's
Yeah.
how it works. I don't really think that anyone that we see out there that you would say is like a pinnacle of success has been able to do it all by themselves.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's good perspective for anyone trying to grow their own channel. Yeah. I love seeing your content, and oftentimes I live vicariously through you with some of the experiences you've already had. Just being in the hobby. For example, the MLB All-Star Game, that was pretty awesome. And you mentioned it before, going to Spain recently, breaking soccer cards. Are there any other memorable moments you've had where you can't believe what you're experiencing, all because of the hobby?
I mean, the All-Star game and Spain were two huge ones for me. Very just
Yeah.
out of control, out of this world. When I started doing this, those are things that I never even imagined possible for this.
Right.
I didn't think I was gonna break and be like, yeah, one day I'm gonna break at the All-Star game. No idea. None at all. So when that stuff happens, it's still shocking. But
Yeah.
as they continue happening now, I've learned that hey, I can kind of create experiences like that for myself. So
Sure.
other moments that I've had is having like Ian McKesson, a top sketch artist, come and break cards with me here in my office. Like that's just
Cool.
something that I just reached out and asked, and it was one of the funnest dreams I've ever done. He was able to sketch a X-wing starfighter on a Zion case that we gave away during stream.
Amazing.
Um, just doing the kids trade day at the Burbank card show. I did 3 of those, and every single one of them was
Cool.
so great and fun and got bigger and better. We had mascots coming in and dancing with them, and Pikachu's dancing with the kids and giving away packs. It's like those are the stuff
Nice.
that I just watch and kind of take a step back and just soak in and realize that we I it's so amazing to make so many people happy with cards, and if I can play any part in that, this is all worth it, and it feels so great. So,
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. And you kind of already answered this, but through those experiences, I'm sure you've met a lot of cool people in the hobby. Is there anyone you're excited to meet in person? Because the opportunity just kind of presented itself, and you're kind of like, wow, this is amazing.
most definitely. I mean, there are a lot of incredible, successful people who I respect and admire that I've had the chance to not only meet, but really sit down with and
Mm,
talk to and learn from in this industry. I think just to name a few right off the bat, like Jeff Wilson of Sports Card Investor
yeah,
has
for sure.
been a really great friend of mine through this, which I'm grateful for. Rich Layden of Layton Sports Cards, what he's
Yeah,
built is incredible. I've had the honor of sitting with him recently, and I'm looking at him right now. He's one of my inspirations here. I leave on my desk. Michael Rubin.
of course.
I was able to meet Michael Rubin about 2 years ago for the first time. Um, Talked and sat down with him one-on-one last year again, and he's just what he's built on Fanatics is incredible. I'm extremely grateful for how much he believes in me and how much of all of this he's built that's helped me grow my business. So that's his rookie card
That's
that he
cool.
gifted
Yeah,
me right there. So definitely
that's amazing.
meeting Michael Rubin was incredible. So
Yeah,
have learned a lot from him too.
I'm sure. Yeah, no, that's great. And yeah, you kind of already answered this question already, but I was going to ask you what you appreciate the most about the hobby, and it seems like generally speaking, it's always the people that we interact with in the hobby. And I find it the same way too in the hobby, that even doing this podcast, it's people are so friendly, people are so willing to help out and to sit down and just chat about cards, which I find amazing. And I hope that others that are getting into the hobby have that kind of experience as well.
I agree. And I think as long as we start spreading it, I say a lot of like about doing my part. As long as we spread it and do our part every day, I think it'll become that. It's a beautiful thing to be a card collector. I think we are very aesthetically inclined and intellectually inclined, and we're
Sure.
very passionate, and we're very entrepreneurs. We're entrepreneurs at heart. So
Yes.
I think those are all qualities that we all have that we can, use to connect with each other more and teach each other and learn a lot from each other. So definitely I've grown so much as a person just being part of this industry and being a collector. So
Awesome. I know we only have a couple minutes, so I was wondering if I could just do a couple of rapid fire questions to end this
absolutely.
interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like asking this first one. Favorite PC card for you right now?
Oh, I'll have to say my Sandy Koufax Clayton Kershaw dual patch auto booklet
Wow.
tier 1 2011.
Amazing card. Yeah, I couldn't even picture it right now. Amazing. Is there a grail card you're currently chasing?
I don't know if currently chasing, but I do want to chase a Little Princess Leia Superfractor 1 of 1. I think her
Okay.
first one was in 23 Chrome, and that's technically her rookie card. So I just think she's an amazing actress. Her performance as Leia in the Obi-Wan series was mind-blowing to me. So I really want one of her Superfractor rookie card. I need to find it.
Nice. I'll keep an eye out just in case I
That's a
see
grail
it.
for me.
Okay. Nice. This question hurts me a little bit because we know Ohtani was thinking about the Blue Jays, but he went to the Dodgers at the end of the day.
I felt sick to my stomach when I heard that. I was like, really?
Yeah, we're on other ends of that experience. But what's it like to have Ohtani play for the Dodgers? And do you see his card market cooling off anytime soon?
I mean, I guess it has already in a sense, but no. Like Ohtani cards are gonna be incredible always. It's incredible having Ohtani play for the Dodgers. Growing up as a
Yeah.
Dodger fan, having the best player in the world be on our team right now, and just see the impact he's made in just a few months, and having him for the next decade, going to games and watching him with my kids is
Yes.
it's essentially gonna be like watch my kids growing up watching Michael Jordan.
Right.
Like it's
Right.
insane. It's an honor, and I can't believe we almost lost him to you guys. I'm telling you. I think my live reaction to that news was while it was breaking, and I was like, I need to get out of this chair. What is going on? And almost heartbreaking.
Well, time heals all wounds, so that's okay. And last question, we always make it a little bit more Canadian centric because we're based out of Canada. I didn't really ask you about your podcast, which is called Altered, and you co-host it with our fellow Canadian friend, Coach Ko, who we've also had on this podcast. So I'm wondering, do you have any general thoughts on Canadian collectors? Just from your interaction with Coach Ko, or perhaps others you've met in this great country of ours.
So definitely I need to make it out to an expo. That's 100% now on the hobby bucket list. Everyone who I've met, I think Carlos, I don't know if you know Carlos, I've met and done a
we
few
have had him
videos
on
with
the
him.
pod as well.
And
Yeah.
his sister,
Yeah.
incredible people, incredibly kind, incredibly passionate. And I'm just Brendan is the same. So yeah, nothing but great things to say, and very excited. Definitely FOMOing the expo last time, and definitely excited to make it out there soon.
Yes, please come. Yeah, you'll have a great time.
Jeremy's
for sure.
great as well.
Jeremy Lee, of course. Yeah, definitely. All right, well, Stephanie, again, thank you so much for coming on the pod. We appreciate your time and insight, and hope our paths cross in the future.
Thank you so much, Clark.
All right, thanks again to Stephanie, aka Mamabreaks, for coming on to the pod. We appreciate her time. And then, I think she mentioned that she'll be at Fanatics Fest in New York City, so hopefully we'll get to catch up with her there as well. Okay, let's finish off this episode with our regular weekly segment we call Pick One. And this is when each of us, we choose 2 cards, and then we debate which one we would rather invest in. All right, so Hyung, do you have one to start things off?
Sure. Yeah, I'll kind of stay away from baseball. Actually, not really. It's kind of baseball related, and you'll see why. So we talked about Top Series 2, coming up. It just released June 12th. A lot of excitement there. I'm super excited about the product. And just a side note, I'm super excited about Topps Chrome this year as well. I think the rookie class, and based on how they're doing everything in Series 2, I think Topps Chrome is going to be very special. But over the past couple days, there was a 50-case player break that was sold. 50 cases of Jumbo Topps Series 2. And the players were Victor Wembanyama and CJ Stroud. So you get every single card in that 50 cases. Okay, that sold for $3,400 yesterday, June 12th, on release day. Okay, would you rather that, or would you rather the 2023 Topps Now Victor Wembanyama, his auto, the Topps Now auto version the year before, in a PSA 10 that sold for $3,800?
Oh, good one.
Whoa. So you're essentially taking the risk to get multiple Wemby
50 cases.
Autos. 50 cases. But we don't know the odds. But man,
the odds are pretty low. And Wemby does have I believe there are SSP cards in it too. Non-autos. Right. So that's consolation on that end.
This Topps Now card, is it numbered?
It is to number to 99. And it's a PSA 10.
Where he's like in a suit?
He's in a suit. Again? Yeah, he's in a suit. So it's not a bad looking card.
Right.
But there are other Wemby autos like the Bowman U that are pretty popular and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's, and you guys got to remember, the Wemby auto issue, there are none in basketball. So you got to remember 2023 was the first year of his autos, and that's why even right now his autos are demanded, because they still don't have an auto in a Spurs uniform, right? So that's something to kind of throw out there and think of, and why people are chasing the Wemby autos. And CJ Stroud is in that player mix as well. Not that matters to you guys, or maybe it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he seems like a pretty special talent as well. Man, 50 cases. That seems like a guarantee almost. Like
I don't know though.
You're like gonna get at least one Wemby auto, maybe multiple. Oh,
hopefully.
Man. 50 cases of jumbos.
Jumbos, yeah. John's feeling gambling.
I know.
Gambling vibes.
It doesn't even seem like gambling. It seems like a guarantee. I feel like 3,000 was a steal, whoever bought it. This is tough. Good question. I think I'm gonna go with the guarantee. I think the Topps Now card. Yeah, the real guarantee. You said it's in a PSA 10 already, right?
It's PSA 10 already.
PSA 10. It's numbered. It's one of the first Wemby autos for Topps. No, it's not quite the Bowman U, but it's one of the first ones. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with the top. I'm good with a guarantee, not the almost guarantee. Oh man, that's pretty tempting. It's pretty tempting. It would be so much fun though. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh man, I was just like, we were witnessing John whether he would go against his nature and go with the 50 case break. I'm going with the 50 case break. That sounds like a guarantee to me.
I love it.
Come on, if you get a nice Wemby or CJ Stroud, like a numbered auto, that's all it takes, really.
Yeah,
right.
You grade that out, and you got your money back.
It's not an easy hit, though.
I don't think it'll be $3,000. The PSA 10 of whatever auto.
Multiples, though.
But the thing is, you get the multiples. Then you're talking, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And any other SP cards, right? Within the 50 case jumbo break. The jumbo was a clincher for me. If it was hobby, I'm like, I don't know,
not hobby. Yeah, I'm out.
But the jumbo, you got autos in each box, right? So at least one auto. So I'm gambling, although it seems like a guarantee.
I love it. Yeah, I think the 50
We know where
cases
Hyung's
just
going.
Oh yeah, you know where I'm going. I just think the experience itself is worth it. Even if you skunk, it's like 50 cases.
Yeah.
But I think how do you even sit through that? Like, is it like 3 cases a day or 4 cases? Because that must be hours and hours and hours of just watching. Man. I might pull out my eyeballs watching it. Yeah,
that'll be a long.
I changed my mind. I want the experience. I want the 50 case experience.
Yes.
You know what we have to do? We have to all buy into one.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch, and then we could live stream it or something on 5 Card Guys. I think that's great. But right, yeah, I'm gonna go 50 cases, and John's gonna go 50 cases too.
Yeah, I'm in.
All right, I like that one.
That was really good. Man, that's tough to follow up. Mine's a little bit more boring, but I'm actually going to choose baseball. You guys are always the baseball guys, but it looks like there is a bit of a AL MVP race within a singular team, and we're talking Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. So I'm going to put up 2013 Bowman Chrome, Aaron Judge Refractor Auto, BGS True Gem. I think the last one sold for $2,100. But you could imagine, and I think that was about 2 weeks ago, so it might be worth more today. And then you got the Juan Soto 2016 Bowman Chrome Refractor Auto BGS True Gem. And I think that one's around 3,000. So which of the 2 cards are you choosing? Juan Soto at 3,000, Aaron Judge at 2,200 plus.
The Juan Soto refractor is, I believe, numbered, right? To 499?
It is.
Yeah.
And the refractor for Aaron Judge isn't numbered, the 2013.
Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you would know that.
But what the print run has to be somewhat
I'm pretty
similar.
Sure it's pretty low.
Yeah. Or maybe a little more. There's a base auto too, right? So I would imagine it would just be based off that print run. Which 2013, I wouldn't think it's too high.
Right. It could end up being the same. It's just not actually printed as a number.
Yeah.
Give me the Juan Soto.
He's in gambling mood today.
It's numbered. You know, I sold the Aaron Judge refractor in BGS 9.5 for about 2,100, so I feel like it's kind of stayed sideways. Right. That's the last comp. Whereas Soto, you know, I mean, if Judge hits the way he's hitting,
he's been
it'll definitely go up for the rest of the season. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I like the fact that it's actually numbered. I think that's the clincher, and for $900 more, sure, why not?
Nice. For me, I think I would prefer the Soto personally, but I think the right play at that price is the Aaron Judge. I think he's doing stuff that can do like a Ohtani type stupid numbers. Like, you know, like there's only a few people that do stupid numbers. Tatis was one of them. Soto was one of them. You know, Aaron Judge was one of them. Ohtani was one of them, where they had their like kind of like boom. So I think Judge is still undervalued in a sense, but he's going to have to keep on producing this for the next, 8 years in the same production for him to be kind of like, okay, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer type guy, right? So whereas Juan Soto, I think in long term, I think time is in his favor a lot more than Aaron Judge. So you have more of a, I would say, more time with Soto. So I like the play on Judge short term. I think long term wise, I think Soto might be more valuable based on what he's going to do in his career at such a young age. Remember, Soto's 25 years old this year, and he has a 33 WAR, just to put that in perspective, right? So, I mean,
pretty good.
Yeah, that's we're talking elite, like Ted Williams, that type of 100+ WAR trajectory, right? Judge would never get there, right?
Yeah.
So that's my kind of take on it. But I would go Judge in this case.
I'm gonna pick Soto, and really it comes down because the three of us were Soto fans. So from a collector standpoint, it seems pretty easy, and also for me, long term the age. Just Soto's so young, what he's doing at this age, and I think after a couple of down years, he's reminding everybody of who exactly he is and how special of a talent he is. I mean, Yankee fans, I can't speak for them. I'd imagine they are super happy with what they're seeing, and they're probably saying, let's lock him up for the rest of his career. I wouldn't blame them for saying that. But to Hyung's point, like, I'm picking Soto because I'm a Soto fan and I would legitimately want that card over there in Judge. But to Hyung's point, if you're more of an investor, you don't really have like a collector bias to any of these particular players. I think short term, the next 1 to 2 years, even just this season alone, the volatility is in Aaron Judge for sure. Like, if he keeps up this home run pace again and he starts reaching 50 plus, 60 plus again, like, this is a card that could easily topple $3,000, $3,500. Like, it could start to really balloon up there versus Soto. I mean, he's not far off, but if Soto, does something like the Triple Crown, that would make his card. And if you're to ask me what's more likely, Triple Crown Soto or Aaron Judge, like hitting 60 plus home runs, probably Aaron Judge, right? So I think in terms of investment short term, yeah, I think Hyung's right. It would, like, the Aaron Judge would make a little bit more sense, and the pricing is a little bit better. But yeah.
All right, Soto still wins. I like it. Okay, let's end off with my pick one. All right, it's going to be baseball again, and it's going to be on Top Series 2. Not as creative as Hyung's pick one, but would you rather have for $700 the Jackson Holiday Fun Face variation card, right? The one that says Fun Face on the knob, not censored or anything.
Raw.
That last raw, yeah.
I'd
that last
imagine,
sold for $700 recently, yep. Or the Shohei Ohtani PSA 10 2018 Bowman Chrome rookie card. Base
rookie card.
Pop count 4,101.
Man, I know I might be crazy for saying this, but I'd rather have the base Bowman Chrome. I think Shohei is that he has an asterisk beside his name. It's like, base cards are a no-no for us. We all know it. High pop count, but I'm still taking that over the Jackson Holiday. I like the Jackson Holiday card. I think it's going to be a great card in the future, given that Jackson Holiday does what he's capable of doing. If he pulls, let's just say, just average numbers where it's not like booming superstar type numbers, what's that going to look like, right? So that's my concern, is baseball's not easy, and Jackson Holiday's still super young. You see it in Jackson Churio. These guys are going to struggle. Mike Trout struggled when he was 19 and entered the league, only to make the necessary changes that he needed to, right? So everybody has that evolution of cycle. You see it in Tatis. You see it in Vladdy. You see it in, even Juan Soto. He had a down year where people gave up on him, but then that's what makes a great hitter. They know how to make adjustments really quick on the fly. And for you at a major league level, you're going to deal with that type of failure. So someone with that consistency over year after year, that's very hard to do and expect in these young prospects like Jackson Holiday. So for me, Ohtani's been doing it on both sides of the plate, which is ridiculous. He's starting to throw again. You know what? I've doubted Ohtani too much, so I'm going to go Ohtani.
Okay. Interesting.
Oh, man. I think there's no question of the two cards, which is the cooler card. I think the Fun Face is the cooler card, but the right answer, and I'm going to go with the right answer, is the Shohei PSA 10. It's a little bit of a boring answer, but I mean, we all know that the Jackson Holiday side, it's early on, hype, all of that stuff, new release, so that you could imagine that raw price card is going to come down by 50%, like a lot. It's going to come down by a lot. So I think your money is definitely safer in the Shohei. And to be honest, of the two cards, I'm not necessarily like I have to have one of these cards in my collection. It's not that. So I'm speaking from an investor perspective.
All right. I don't know. I feel like I'm in a gambling mood.
He is.
In a gambling mood
in the gamble.
All this episode. If the Jackson Holiday goes down, which I'm expecting it to, let's say it's at 700. Let's say it goes down to 400. All right.
I say 3, but yeah.
Okay. Let's grade it out. Hope for
250.
Hope for PSA 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll bring it back up to 5-6. And like the base card will come back down. I think there's a lot of Shohei cards. The pop count's pretty high. So and then the variable is what you're saying. If Jackson Holiday has a great career or like starts to hit it well, right, then you could start seeing some of his SP cards maybe go up, a little bit. So I know I'm banking on 2 or 3 different things to happen there. Yeah. But like I said, I'm in a gambling mood. So I'm going with Jackson Holiday, fun face, over the boring 2018 Bowman Chrome base PSA 10 of Shohei Ohtani. But, Shohei's proven us all wrong time and time again. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does that again to me in this case.
I hate to break it to you. It's going to get a PSA 9.
Then I've already lost this pick one for sure. All right, and I'll crack and resubmit to BGS. Hope for a 9.5. That's a alternative play. All right, thanks again to all our listeners. We appreciate you guys, and we'll have a brand new episode for you next Tuesday. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.